Hello, welcome to Tier Fun. I'm Andrew, your guide through Modern, and this is the literal fourth time I've tried to release this video, record it properly. The first time, Donkinator, I uploaded it, and YouTube commenter Donkinator noticed that the audio was bad. Thank God for him. He caught it before most people saw it. I think it was like 15 people of you got it. And so since then, I've been trying to either find parts of the video that were salvageable. I uploaded the one part of the video earlier, just as a salvageable point in time for the upload. And since then, through either faults of software, hardware, my own ignorance, not turning on my mic, or not pressing the record button, I have literally failed at recording these two games about literally as many ways as possible. So let me double check here to make sure. Okay, everything seems good. I think yeah, I think we're good to go. So these are games. Well, I guess technically they're games 1 and 2. The third game was uploaded earlier, but these are the completing games, we'll say, to the Madcap and Blue Moon, the Blue Moon Emperion, Blue Moon Madcap Experiment deck with Riverwise Augur. It is now Rivals of Ixalan season for both Standard and Modern. So we're going to start playing more, testing out some of those cards. I don't think there's a single card in the entire block that it actually will shake up Modern in a big way. Like, there's no Splinter Twin, there's no like new deck that's going to be built, unless you count blue-green Merfolk with that Lord. That could actually change things up. But I mean, even if there's a legitimate blue-green Merfolk deck, it's essentially going to be played out very similar to Merfolk, so it's not going to be that big of a wave. The card, thankfully, is in our opening hand that we're testing out is Riverwise Augur. If you're interested in a deck tech, I'm gonna hopefully release this as a playlist. So the first video in this playlist has the deck tech. If not, I'll give you a rundown right now. It's Blue Moon deck, which is blue-red deck that is interested in kind of tempoing, controlling the game with Blood Moon and islands and permission spells, cantrips, and interactive burn to get to a point where we land a wind. We control the game, and then we play a win con. The win con for this deck is Madcap Experiment, which is essentially a sorcery that gets you a Platinum Emperion, which is an 8/8. That means your life total can't change. There's some obviously those aren't like the A to Z, everything in between mechanics of the deck, but that's what happens with this deck. Okay, so from here on out, we will just be narrating a video that has already been played. As you can see, this is a VLC player, I believe. I think you might even be able to see like a piece of me over here until I go widescreen, and then hopefully that covers it up. Anyways, here we go. Let's go. Fourth time's the charm. If this doesn't work, I'm either gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might just like stop releasing Magic videos. Okay, so we keep this hand in the dark. Oh, thing of note, I bring up this the sideboard because in the original recording, I accidentally clicked on the wrong deck at first, and I played a Twinless Exarch with Riverwise Augur, which I think is a good combo there too. But I was just checking the sideboard because the sideboard's different. So yeah, we keep this. I could opt on their turn looking for a land. My original thought was that I would like to leave lands in my deck so I could draw into them. But I think because opt technically opt sees 2 cards, I think it's best. We get the most. I think we get the most looks at a land if we opt on their turn. And I think that's the appropriate line. We don't do that though. We try to naturally draw it. So yeah, if we had opted there, well, I guess Snapcaster wouldn't have been on top because we had to fetch. So it's kind of like hindsight and whatever. You can try to say like, well, yeah, if Snapcaster was there, we would have bottomed it, and then we would have drawn. I don't know. We wouldn't have drawn any of those things because we had to fetch to begin with. I do still think that it was correct to opt on their turn to get the most looks at a land. So opponent, As you probably was going way too fast because we're doing this a little quick because I just want to get this done so I can get onto the next video for you guys. And B, I'm okay just pausing it and talking at the points in the game which require more analysis. The Stone Rain really obviously punished our 1 land keep where we missed our 2nd land drop on turn 2. So we are in a rough spot here. Ponza, this is the Ponza list, obviously. Stone Rain, Utopia Sprawl. They're doing literally everything they could do. They have a tireless tracker here, getting a clue as well. We just need lands. We're looking for lands, and we'll be all right. If we don't have a land, we're basically dead. We draw an opt, looking for, you guessed it, land. Bottom. Silver Falls. Okay, so we decided to bolt here. We bolt there, and we're hoping, like, opponent has 2 cards in hand. They had access to 4 mana and 2 reds, so they could have played Chandra, which is very bad. So we know they probably don't have Chandra. So there's a small chance that this is one of those Ponza hands where they don't have anything. Turns out they did have a 4-drop, or maybe they drew it, but Monvolley Acid Moss, another Stone Rain effect, except this one ramps them. So yeah, that card's pretty great in their deck, especially in this situation. They go for our island to make sure Blood Moon cuts us off of a color, cuts us off of blue. So to me, that says that the fact that they went for our island says that their last card in hand was Blood Moon. We didn't draw land yet again. Look how great this hand could be, right? If we had some lands. They cycled a clue, strict, just a good magic play, and they play Magus of the Moon, which thankfully is a Blood Moon that we can bolt. So we were right and wrong, but we essentially had the right read there. So we bolt this Blood Moon, and yeah, lands. Looking for lands. We draw a Madcap Experiment. So we have something to potentially stabilize and get us out of this if we somehow rip 3 lands in a row. Now it has to be 4 lands. Opponent may not have drawn any payoffs, but they've drawn a lot of their land destruction, which lined up phenomenally with our draw. And they have all their mana. Like, they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 10 mana right now, and we cannot draw land for the life of us. It'd be great if we had actual Brainstorm right here. But yeah, not too great because we would Brainstorm lock. We discard the Blood Moon because even though Spell Snare has no targets, it's either that or Spell Snare. I don't think Spell Snare has any targets in Ponza, at least main deck. I could be wrong though. So we don't want to fetch here. It's important because that plays around them having more Stone Rain effects. An unfetched land can be fetched in response, and it fizzles their Stone Rain essentially. So runner on lands. Okay, guys, we're getting back in this slowly but surely. We can now cast our first spell since that lightning bolt so long ago. So there's no reason to remand this, though I'd be lying if I said I wasn't itching to play that remand right there. But there's literally no reason. Oh, good. They drew one of their enablers. Inferno Titan coming in. Particularly great at closing games, especially when we don't have ways to deal with it in our hand or any other way. Our only way for deal with it main deck is Cryptic Command, I do believe. But yeah, we draw another land, so that's good. That's real good. We just need one more. We just need one more land. Then we get this Madcap Experiment. So opponent has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana as it stands. So instead of playing, so let's make sure we count that right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they have 12 mana. So they could have played around remand by just double jamming Primetime. That would have resolved. But instead they're trying to set us back on lands, which is very bad. Like them buying. We're essentially drawing. We're not drawing dead because we could still rip a couple of lands and get Madcap Experiment. But it's not as bad as it could be because we can fetch this Flooded Strand to get the Steam Vents off the top. So we do have to fetch here, obviously, because we can't. Having Inferno Titan essentially means they win the game next turn with its enters the battlefield ability and its attack ability. We thankfully draw land off the top, which is pretty great. We also have an opt. We could opt here, looking for a land, but yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I think maybe the line was potentially to opt because they're going to be able to play their Titan this turn. Or the Storm Breath, sorry. The Storm Breath is what they searched up for with Primal Command. Kind of glossed over that. But yeah, we could have remanded it, but we don't. Why don't we? We don't remand it because we're still saving that for the Titan, I suppose. We we don't remand it because we don't currently have access to remand. That's why. I do still think we probably should have opted, at least in response to the Blood Moon, to see if we drew something. Opponent, important to note, chose to play Blood Moon and Storm Breath rather than just jamming both Storm Breath and Titan, or Storm Breath threatening. Could they have Monstrous this turn? I don't think so. I think they might have been short on mana. Let's look it up for posterity's sake. But if they could have held up Monstrous this turn, I think it's probably correct just to start off with the Storm Breath. I mean, we've shown them remand, so worst case scenario, they get it remanded. So it was 7. So they did not have enough mana. Because they had 1, 2, 3. They're 1 short. Okay, so I guess that's fine. I still would have, if I was opponent, jammed both the threats this turn. Because it turns out we drew Bolt, and we had an Abrade already. So their Blood Moon allowed us to do this. So not great, right? We're tapped out. Titan's still gonna hit the deck tomorrow, so this turn. Nothing we could do about it anyways, given our hand. We are set. We're not drawing dead because we can block with Snapcaster next turn, but we're drawn very thin. So yeah, we don't draw the land for Madcap. So our only line is to let them attack with Inferno Titan, trigger its ability, have them target us with the 3 damage, and block. That buys us 1 more turn. I think here I flash in the Snapcaster and target something not Lightning Bolt, and I definitely should have targeted Lightning Bolt. In my mind, I'm saying this is a 1-turn game, and it doesn't matter what I click, but it always matters what you click, because we could have bolted that Arbor Elf there. Not that that really matters, but we could have. Re-rip the land. Yes. Let's pause for a second, because that was so important, right? Like, oh my god, look at all that Stone Rain nonsense that happened to us. How long we had 0 lands. They had so much time to put us away, and we finally did it. We got the Platinum Emperion. So now things at 1 life are looking up for the first time since the opening hand, I guess, really. Opponent whiffs. That's great for us. I debate about attacking. Can't attack here because Inferno Titan has fire breathing. For every red mana, they can turn an red mana into +1/+0. What do I do? I Riverwise Augur here, I guess, looking for a land. I think that's fine. Obviously, these Blood Moons are dead. Ideally, we would draw a Madcap Experiment, and then I could put Platinum Emperion 2 cards down. But at this point, it didn't really matter what we put there. We were going to get Brainstorm locked, and neither of those cards are really castable. But unfortunately, one good rip deserves another. Opponent had a Bonfire of the Damned. So we are dead here. But I didn't concede at the time because I was interested to see how Bonfire interacted with Platinum Emperion, because it deals damage to us and our creatures at the same time. So I wasn't sure how state-based effects would work that way. It turns out that it works out that we stay at 1. Like, they get to wipe our board, but Platinum Emperion still protects our health in that scenario. So if you're ever in a scenario where that exact thing happens, but they don't have lethal creatures, like it's just lethal burn from Bonfire, don't concede because you will be fine. So that's, we may have lost on this roller coaster of a game, but we did learn something. So against Ponza or really any other Blood Moon deck, I like taking out Blood Moons. I also, against someone with Blood Moon or someone that attacks my mana base, I like siding out Cryptics. But unfortunately for us, we don't really have much to bring in. So these Cryptics are good, and they're also the only thing we have that counters their top end. So we have to keep them in. And I do think this might be the game I cut a Cryptic. I don't think it is, though. Because these Spell Snares are, I think, straight up dead cards. So we want them out as well. And I think we just cut 2 Spell Snares and we bring in the Jace. Jace is good. If Jace would have been great to have on the field last game. We would have been able to accrue advantage through it. I guess I'm trying to debate, because we're bringing in Young Pyromancer as well. I'm trying to debate how aggressive we want to be. And we do want to pressure them, because if we sit back and do nothing, they will eventually beat us because of those Bonfire of the Damned. So we have to be more aggressive than usual. Okay, so here I do think that I think shaving a Madcap is fine, but I think in this matchup, I think we probably want the 4th Madcap over the 1st Grim. My reason being there is that we're only getting I guess getting a Birds or an Elf is pretty important in a lot of draws, but I mean, it is a post-board game. I guess I'm okay with that. It's just I don't like going down on one of our most reliable ways to win in this matchup. So we mulligan that first hand, even though it had an island and an opt, because it was essentially a copy of the first hand we had last game. And if they have a similar draw, which is a land destruction heavy draw, that hand will not work. Like in the dark, you keep that hand 100%, I think. But I don't think we can now, knowing our opponent. So I fetch this on their turn. That part's good. The bad part is I decide to fetch an island to play around Blood Moon. While, you know, that's a good line in theory, and it sounds good. Like, oh, let's just play around Blood Moon here. The reason you shouldn't do that, I don't think, especially when you already have a basic island in hand. Sure, you're cutting yourself off a Cryptic, but I mean, we need to draw the Cryptic, and we also need to draw the fetches and the islands to get to Cryptic. So casting Cryptic is going to be a rough proposition as is. And it's a situation where someone's attacking your mana base with land destruction. It's kind of like in Legacy how it's often correct to just attempt to overload their wastelands, either in deck building or in fetching. So like they can't, like, because if you're trying to fetch around a wasteland, oftentimes you end up putting yourself in a situation where you'll be reliant on 1 or 2 lands for all your colors or for your extra color, and if they just waste those, then you've color screwed yourself. So I think in a deck against a deck where they have more Blood Moon effects than they have more Storm Rain effects than Blood Moon effects, I think it's appropriate with this deck to have fetched the Steam Vents there. And that's not just being results oriented. I think that is just a line. As you can see, the exact nightmare scenario happens to us as is. But it is only cutting us off of 1 card in our hand currently, Electrolyze. So, you know, it's not the worst, but it's a situation we could have avoided, and I think it was correct. So we remand here just to cycle through. Plus, we do like to have our lands. And if we draw another remand, if we can continually remand Ponza's plays, we're going to end up being all right because they're all expensive. We're looking for land. We're a red source here, lands really, but red source ideally. We're also looking for remand or something, but we don't find it. The line here, I do believe, is to Flash and Snapcaster, and I'm not sure if I do it. Okay, I think I do it. Yeah, that's good. Past Andrew gets a point from present Andrew. The reason being is that we want to put as much pressure down as possible. They have 3 cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 mana. We play Sea Beyond, looking for both lands and interactive spells. Perhaps Remand would have been good. I basically said that they were going to block. I usually they are Ponza protects their Arbor Elves, but when they have this much mana, they have 6 mana without the Arbor Elf. They're going to be blocking, and if they're going to be blocking, I want to trade. I don't want to trade my Young Pyromancer, and now I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I probably didn't want to trade my Snapcaster either, because they're probably still blocking. They might not have blocked an Elemental. I don't know. It's close, but I think we definitely don't want to attack with Young Pyromancer. That's for sure. All right, so we're just hoping to fade a big spell here, but we do not. Yeah, and not only do we not fade a big spell, they hit us with the biggest one, the best one in this situation. If they had one less Stone Rain effect, like if we had one more land, if we had Cryptic up, that would have been all right for us. So our game plan next turn is to have them hopefully cast something pre-combat, and then we can bounce Inferno Titan before attacks, and they won't be able to recast it. Unfortunately, they do that, but it's a mana ramp spell, or essentially a mana ramp spell. And they still have 6 mana. So instead, what we do is tap here. It might have been more correct, I think, to potentially play Riverwise Augur. And the reason I say that is because we need to start digging for our Madcap combo, because that is the only way we get out of this situation. Even without them casting Chandra and Tireless Tracker, it's the only way we beat an Inferno Titan. So for that reason, I don't like casting Electrolyze here, even though we do it. I think the line is to play Riverwise Augur, and also have Opt up. The reason being is we want the most hits possible to get our Madcap in this situation. Like, Tracker is great. Like, we get hit for... Well, what do we get hit for? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, well, we do get hit for Xaxes. So in that case, we did have to get rid of the Tracker. Okay. I still think opting first is where we want to be. Well, we ended up drawing a Lightning Bolt. So that probably would have changed what we were doing. So we can attack here. Maybe not. We wouldn't have cast the Electrolyze. So I'm deciding here who or what to attack. We attack Chandra. They're gonna get rid of this elemental with Inferno Titan's trigger anyways. Like we have to have it. We have to have Platinum Emperion here. Thragtusk is great. They're definitely going to play that. Make us cry even more. Let's see if did opponent leave? So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Nope. They did not have lethal. Considering the pumps. So this is obviously the correct line for the opponent. I think we're just drawing dead here. Like, we can't Snapcaster opt into anything. Well, what we can do, actually, and I think that's what we do, is I think we play... I think the line here is actually because, say we play Riverwise Augur, they can just Chandra it, and then attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's also like if we don't draw a land, we're dead if we Riverwise Augur. But conversely, like, we just kind of have to hope to hit, I guess. So we hope to get that land and to also get Madcap Experiment so we can stabilize the turn after. Here I discovered that you cannot undo once you've selected something with Riverwise Augur's Brainstorm ability. So that's something to note for the U in the future. So yeah, I think I wanted to keep... I mean, I don't think it really mattered, but I think I definitely wanted to draw Jace next turn. But I don't think we're getting a next turn anyways. Even when I was playing this, I didn't think we were. So here our line is to Snapcaster blocking the Snapcaster flashing a Snapcaster, blocking Inferno Titan, taking 5 from Thragtusk. But opponent has an Acidic Slime, which is a great draw, and so they make it so we can't flash in the Snapcaster. I decide to do to get rid of the Thragtusk here, so I have to. Opponent has us dead to right, so all they have to do is attack with the Inferno Titan. We're just dead. We're just dead here. I think we probably could have sequenced things a little bit better this game. I know we could sequence things a little better this game, and in game 1, it's just a matter of they Ponza'd us. Like something to note in this game, I had a Ceremonious Rejection in the sideboard, and I really wished I had a Disdainful Stroke for this matchup, and I started realizing that one rejection is kind of the same thing. Like, we're bringing him in for similar matchups, basically Eldrazi or Tron, and Disdainful Stroke is good against all the spells that Ceremonious Rejection is. So I decided the Disdainful Stroke had more utility. So I go down. I think I go down on 1 Dispel, and this, for the record, is the list as is the list I would run back again to test. Maybe shaving an Augur for another Cryptic, but essentially this list. I like this sideboard. I think the sideboard's pretty good. You can maybe switch up the Young Pyromancers if you don't like that game plan. It's not for everyone. I'm a big fan of Young Pyromancer, but I wouldn't say it's strictly better than other options. Like, we could go heavier on PN Kieran's, and maybe another Keranos too to get even deeper into that Keranos God of Storms game. But I think Young Pyromancer does some things that I like, when that it lowers our curve a little bit and makes us more aggressive. And the hope is that opponents sideboard out their spot removal, but that's not always going to be the case, because I mean, people, if it's a Lightning Bolt, people are probably just going to keep it in there because reach is good. And they might side out like pushes and stuff, so it's better against the Jund matchup. So basically, people who definitely have hard removal for Platinum Emperion. That's why I like Young Pyromancer. But anyways, in the video itself, I also have the idea, because I'm always hyper aware of the burn matchup in my blue-red decks for some reason. That if I cut a Dispel, I have 1 less card to bring in against burn. So I like, hey, Flash Freeze kind of gets a lot of the same cards as Disdainful Stroke, right? It gets the Titans, both Inferno and Primeval. The thing is, though, that I don't think Scapeshift is big enough. Like, if Scapeshift itself, but even then, like, yeah, if Scapeshift itself, it's basically it. Like, getting their ramp spells, like, Flash Freeze is great against Scapeshift. It's playable against burn. And that's about it. I liked having the 4 Dispels, and maybe we shave something else to have the 4th Dispel. But I think if you have Disdainful Stroke, you should go with Disdainful Stroke and not have a 1/1 split. That's where I'm at. Disdainful Stroke is just more versatile. There are metagames where you want Flash Freeze. I love Flash Freeze. Back when Twin was big, I loved having a Flash Freeze in my sideboard. Great against Twin, great against Burn. Scapeshift was a bigger thing back then. Like, it was just a good card. I mean, Flash Freeze is also good against the random green decks as well. So, I mean, maybe Flash Freeze is better than I'm giving it credit for. But I do think we want at least 1 Disdainful Stroke. Just because, especially because we only have 2 Cryptic commands. Like, our hard things, when we need to hard counter something, our hard counters in this particular build are pretty lacking. So, I think I pause here to talk about it, just because I think I'm a little shell-shocked from the last game, keeping 1-landers, getting max punished for them by Ponza. But this is a totally fine hand to keep. We've got double opt. We can opt on their turn looking for a land, and then we can opt on our turn looking for a land. That's, what is that, 4 cards plus our draw? So we can look at 5 cards. So I think we're intensely favored to find a land, and there's 1 on top. So yeah, we're good. We get to play Magic, hooray. So here, when you lead on basic mountain, I think everyone's first instinct is burn, or goblins, I guess. So I played the island to have painless access to Remand, but I think it was correct. I think the right move there was Misty Rainforest. The reason being is that it's the most painless time to get rid of it. We also gives us access to red if they were to play a Goblin Guide or something along those lines. So I think it was correct to have at least played out the Misty Rainforest. It gives us the most options. Turns out opponent is on blue-red, and they have a Sulphur Falls. We keep this land because it's our 4th land for Riverwise Augur or Madcap Experiment. But we could have bottomed it. But I think I like topping it there. It's a little conservative, but I think it's fine. Oh, it is fine. It definitely is fine. We can snap opt as well. So when you see Sulphur Falls, you think immediately blue-red combo or blue-red control lists. The aggressive lists, the storm lists, they tend to play Cascade Bluffs. Is that even the name? No, that's a different card. Anyways, the blue-red fast land, they'll play that one. Not many decks that don't have a blue-red combo in it or don't have Blood Moon in them play Sulphur Falls. It could also be like a random budget prowess list. They tend to have different mana bases than you're used to seeing. So just things to think of. I think when I was playing it, I was pretty sure we were playing its Breach. It's a bit more popular, I believe, than Twinless Exarch. Though Twinless Exarch has been picking up steam recently. But yeah, so the line here, snap opt. We're just looking for interaction now. Cryptic commands, remands, anything that helps us jam this Madcap Experiment. And when you're playing against these blue-red decks, you want to be definitely bottom that. And we drew a Sea Beyond, so that's pretty good. Good card advantage. And hey, what was right below that Sea Beyond? Platinum Emperion. So you want to, as I was saying, you want to play when you're playing against blue-red decks. You want to play on your opponent's turn as often as possible. Here they're bolting us. I debate for a second if I wanted to remand just to tap them down, but we could very easily. I mean, it's a very low impact line. I don't like it at all, so we didn't do it. So we play Blood Moon there just as a throwaway spell, as something like we're fishing for a counter. Okay, but I think it was probably more correct to just jam Sea Beyond, so we could also hold up Remand. Because if I think this is a breach list, let's say, we could just be dead on their coming turn. Like they could have Simian Spirit Guide. Like I think it's more important to have Remand up than to have fished for a counter on the other side. Especially because Blood Moon isn't all that great. In my mind, I see 2 non-basic lands and 1 island, and I'm like, boom, cut them off of Cryptic Command, cut them off of double counter. Like that's why I went for it, because the upside on Blood Moon is amazing. But I think it was probably more correct just to jam the Sea Beyond here. Could be wrong. Could very well be wrong. But I think that was the line. So opponent plays Desperate Ravings, and we have just literal no idea what's happening. They played main phase Desperate Ravings, so they're looking for lands, it looks like. So then, I think it's probably 50%, a coin flip of what you want to do, be it Sea Beyond or Blood Moon. Last turn, this turn, and every single turn since drawing Click, the play is Click to see what the crap's going on over there. We don't know what's going on over there. Click makes the most sense. We play on their turn, tax their mana on their turn. Instead, I make the play I should have made the turn before, I think, and I play Sea Beyond. This isn't as bad, I think, as jamming just a Blood Moon here, but it's not the best either. So then we draw land, right? Great time to hold up for Vanilla Click, right? Wrong. I try to jam the Blood Moon again. My reasoning is 100% like I want to cut them off of double blue, or triple blue, really. So they look they discarded a Logic Knot earlier to Desperate Ravings, and they cast one. So they're looking like this is a potential control list with Desperate Ravings. So it's a weird control list. So we think something's up. Because if Desperate Ravings is a key, then maybe they want to be using their graveyard a lot. Maybe it's just a cute way to get more cards for Logic Knot, and they're just being cute with that. So here, I jam Riverwise Augur again. Again, I think the correct line, the correct line continues to be click on their turn. I'm looking for lands, but we don't find any. The allure of a 4-mana Brainstorm got to me here. I top Blood Moon and Electrolyze in that order. So Blood Moon, then Electrolyze. I don't think I gave too many thoughts to my tops until later on when I had Keranos. Because they don't matter all that much. I mean, they do matter, but they haven't mattered in these situations. So opponent plays Metallurgic Summonings, and I'm instantly jealous. This is the kind of janky blue-red deck that I love. And also it reminded me that I never built a deck with Metallurgic Summonings. I always meant to. So, yeah. Opponent did tap out, though, so we get to jam Experiment here. So I agree with that line for past Andrew. I disagreed with the last probably 3 turns of our play, but this one's good. The main reason being, like, if they cast any spells, they still get the XX because they get the trigger. It triggers on cast, not resolution. Opponent's best play is another Metallurgic Summoning, so we are feeling the crunch. Looking for a Snapcaster to get that Snap Bolt. We don't get it. I think now we finally... Do we? So in playing the Brainstorm, or sorry, the Riverwise Augur like that, it made it so I hid Blood Moon for myself, so I couldn't cast it that turn. So I finally click just to see what's up. Opponent waits a bit. So we get to finally see what their game plan is, and boom, there it is. Blood Moon, Ravings, Electrolyze, Lightning Bolt, Summonings, and Thought Scour. They are about to go off, it looks like. We could get rid of their Summonings there, but I choose instead to say that they don't have anything that can deal with our Emperion, and there's no reason to give them an extra draw. So I let them have the Desperate Ravings. I don't think there's anything there I really want to take. Like, they have 3 burn spells, so they can get rid of my Click and my Augur if they want to anyways. They could technically have gotten rid of our Emperion as well. But if they tap out for... They don't know this, but if they tapped out for it, we would get to remand the spell that did it. Turns out they drew a land, so that wouldn't have worked. But, yeah, opponent drew something real spicy with Ravings. What is it you say? Temporal Trespass, I say. So, yeah, that's their combo here. And I wasn't aware of this deck beforehand. After playing it, I kind of Googled it because I wanted to see what was up. Maybe I would play it in the future. I think it was a MTG Goldfish Saffron Olive build a while ago. Just to get... If you get Metallurgic Summonings and Temporal Trespass, it's a combo, right? You get to take an extra turn and you get an 11/11. Like, okay, that's good. That's good. That's really good. Unfortunately for opponent, no matter how sweet and spicy that was, we have a Click on board and Electrolyze on the stack. So that's 5 damage. We end up winning. So here, I guess we'll pause here. Good cards are... Disdainful Stroke. We wish we had 2 Disdainful Strokes, right? The Jace is good. I think Pia is fine. Biforce is good because the Summonings creatures are all artifacts, so it could be a Plague Wind if we draw it. And I think that's basically it in terms of impact cards. We can bring in Young Pyromancer as well, just to lower the curve and be more aggressive, and I do like that in this situation. This is one of the matchups where I think we want both Pyromancer and Madcap Experiment. We also, I believe, want Dispel. Sorry, I glossed over that. Just because it's good. It makes sure so our counters resolve. And we want to keep Cryptic Command. It's one of our few hard answers to, well, outside of Disdainful Stroke, it is our only hard answer to Metallurgic Summonings. It's not even a hard answer. Like we have to get it on the stack. Click can bottom one, so we have 1 click, 2 Cryptics, and a Disdainful Stroke. So this deck is actually positioned pretty dang well against us, and I think they do have to resolve, right? They have to resolve a 5-mana spell, which can be hard with a Sea of Remands, but you know they'll eventually get there because we do only have 2 Cryptics. So yeah, I almost brought out a Braid, but then I realized at the last possible second, like, oh yeah, that destroys an artifact. That could be very good. You know, it's not ideal. It's not the ideal way you want to deal with this deck, but it is a way too. And as you can see, like they don't do much until after turn 5. So we can get in a lot of incidental chip damage, so that removing an artifact creature or 2, clearing the way for something, could be the difference between winning and losing. So like a dummy, I sideboard out 1 Cryptic Command there, and that's wrong. That's definitely wrong. 100% wrong. These last 2 matchups really made me miss the 3rd Cryptic for sure. They made me miss it so much that I sideboarded out the second one. But yeah, you don't want to do that. So opponent plays Cliffs, and we are clued into it being a budget list. Not that we can punish that tap land at all with this draw, or really any of our draws. So we're gonna, I think we fetched an island here. Yeah, that's fine. We have a Scalding Tarn. I top this Young Pyromancer. I really want to get down an early threat, and we get I don't really want to say lucky, but we do get our third land. Sorry, we drew this turn. It's a little aggressive to top there, but we were favored to draw land. I mean, you're almost always favored to draw land. The odds aren't necessarily always great. I don't think they were phenomenal there. And the safe play was definitely bottoming the Pyromancer, looking for more lands. But it ended up working out. Unfortunately, you know, you always bring in the Pyromancers hoping your opponent will, after seeing the combo, will bring out their spot removal. But they kept it Electrolyze, and that's actually a really great answer to this Young Pyromancer. We could have waited a turn, but Electrolyze was going to clean us up anyways. I finally learned my lesson between the 2 games, and I decided that clicking here is great, is the right move. That's what we should be doing. So we get to click them, see what is up. They bolt with the trigger on the stack, so we get a bolt out of their hand. And then we see this doozy, this whopper of a hand. So we see that they'll eventually have access to 5 lands. The only spell they can cast until turn 5 is Remand. And Metallurgic Summonings is a card that we will lose to if because they have Temporal Trespass in hand. It's just going to win. So my thought here is that I can get rid of one of the summonings and maybe draw a Cryptic Command. Let's see, we draw land next turn, and they'd have 5 mana. So yeah, actually it wouldn't work out. So we'd have to draw a Remand into a Cryptic Command, or a Disdainful Stroke. But I'm hoping to draw an answer, essentially, to the Metallurgic Summonings. You could also just leave them with all 5 cards in hand. I don't think there's anything that can go too wrong here. It could have been that, in fact, the correct card to get rid of was Trespass, but they're so far away from casting it, right? They have 5 lands, and they have 4 cards in the graveyard. Only 1 card in their hand can actually go to the graveyard with Remand. So I feel like, yeah, they'll eventually get to cast Temporal Trespass, but I think we have enough, especially because they don't have any answers to artifacts, I think we have enough going for us that we can leave that. So yeah, there's no I don't think there's a cut and dry thing to take here, but I take the summonings. I take the enabler essentially because I'm saying they can't win with it without it. Sorry, they can't win without it. So let's give them access to one less. They play an island, so they don't give us any information. But they did draw a card from our click. So we draw the Cryptic. Unfortunately for us, we do not have the lands. We're seeing beyond, looking for lands. The bin here, the shuffle back in is Riverwise Augur. We'd love to have access to... We do have access to Cryptic Command next turn, but they'll have 5. They'll be able to slam... they'll be able to slam summonings this coming turn for them. Their turn 5. Our only hope really is that they decide to respect our open mana and don't cast it, because otherwise we're really toast. So they cast Ravings and they discard a mountain. We knew about that mountain, so maybe they don't have an extra land. They do. It's an island. They drew it. So they can jam here. Opponent decides not to. They play cautious, which to me says that they only have one. They didn't draw another summonings. So I'm pretty hyped at this moment. We flash in a Snapcaster Mage just to get in the beats. It might have been more correct just to bolt them there and then flash in Snapcaster next turn. I think the more turns a Snapcaster could stay on the field, the better in terms of the beatdown plan. But let's see, this gets in 2 extra damage this turn. We bolt next turn. Flash in Snapcaster. Yeah, actually no, I think maybe bolting was the best line there. Because then we can snap bolt on their turn. And then we don't have... because we don't have access to 2 red. So here we're just saying, please cast your spell. They're not going to. They have Remand. So we know they have Remand. So they're going to wait at least one more turn to go for it. I decide that digging is better than casting a lightning bolt here. So now we get the bolt in the yard. And we draw Keranos, which is a great draw for us. The downside here is they now have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lands. So they're getting 10, well, including the graveyard for Temporal Trespass. They're getting closer. They need to so if they can ever get to the point where they can cast both in the same turn, they're probably just going to win. So opponent casts Metallurgic Summonings here. Not too surprising. We do know they have a Remand. So if we Remand here, ours is likely to resolve. I think they also could have remanded their own spell there. That would have been fine. But yeah, we bolt. We cast Remand. We draw Sulphur Falls. So I think here's a point where it diverges a little bit. We know they have Remand. I guess. So yeah, this is fine. We do want to jam Keranos, but we know they're just going to cast Remand, and we would be tapping out for it, and that's not a great trade-off for us, because then they could just slam. They could slam their summonings and start potentially going off. They can't Temporal Trespass next turn, so maybe that's a good enough reason to have not done it. Opponent bolts our Snapcaster, so old Snappy got in for 2. Here's the summonings. We decided to snap Remand. I don't love it. I think we're... My thought is to add a Snapcaster to the board. And delay them for as long as possible. And just eventually get Snapcaster beats in. So, they don't play their Remand. They play a Mana Leak, which, you know... I decided that paying for 3 and getting a 2/1 out is better than having it be countered and casting a Lightning Bolt, because that's the only other thing we do. We draw yet another Snapcaster. Very good cards in this situation. So let's count their mana. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they have plenty of mana to Temporal Trespass. So my thinking here is we need to unsummon their summonings over playing Keranos. The reason being that it buys us another turn theoretically if Snapcaster beats. So we say we get in for 2 next turn, put them to 8. We bolt them on their end step, put them to 5. Sorry, yeah, put them to 5, and then we have Snapcaster bolt and attacks to finish the game off. So that's our game plan currently. You can see how if we had found a spot to have landed Keranos earlier, we'd be in a commanding position here. The problem is that they had Metallurgic Summonings and Temporal Trespass, but I think the one turn where they could have cast Summonings and not Trespassed, I think we were okay taking the turn off there. And it would have got remanded, that is for sure, but would have got Mana Leak probably. So it probably wouldn't have worked out for us, but if there was a spot, you can see how that would have turned this game around. But that being said, we currently have opponent dead to snap bolt. We don't do it on our turn because it's better to do it on their turn anyways. So I think if we're going to do that line, we actually had access to a lot of interesting lines that turn, and I kind of glossed over it there. So we're pausing. If we're going to snap bolt, we want to do it on their upkeep. They had access to... Let's rewind a little. I think they had access to how much of their mana? Like, essentially all of it, right? Yeah. So, well, no, not all of it. They had access to 3 mana. We knew one of them was Remand. So we want them to use less of their mana. We want them to use their mana on their turn. Especially because Remand definitely deals with a lightning bolt, a Snapcaster lightning bolt cleanly. So we can take that line that we know is not going to work because we know one of their cards is Remand. We have another line of just casting Augur. I think that's just wrong, and we can hold open Snap Remand or Snap Cryptic Command for whatever nonsense happens here, which I think is fine. So I think here they go for their Trespass. Which we know they have Remand, but we still want to try to deal with it. So I think my thought process here is that we know they have Remand. So we're going to go for a Snapcaster Mage here. We could go for a Snapcaster Mage here, right? And then it would get remanded. The Lightning Bolt or the Remand would get remanded. And then we'd have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we only have 2 mana. So I decide instead to pressure their life total. And we need blockers as well, because they can, if every spell they cast from here on out threatens our life total, and they're about to take an extra turn with an 11/11. So we need very much to have blockers so as to not die. So it might have actually just been correct to have passed the turn here. I think that's the line actually. So it makes it so they can cast the least amount of their own spells. We bolt face here, but I think what we wanted to do if we were bolting in this situation is get rid of the construct, because let's say they have a lightning bolt here, they can get rid of my Snapcaster Mage, and then we're dead, because that is an 11/11, a 2/2 plus a 1/1 from lightning bolt would be 14 exactly. So we don't do that. We don't play around it. Instead, we get got by Spell Pierce, which is very good in this situation. It gives them the 1/1. We still have a blocker, but we don't have 2 blockers, so we're dead to removal. There's the removal. So yeah, I think where we want to be, because the construct can't kill us on this turn cycle alone. We want to just be holding up Snapcasters for their turn. So yeah, not the best play, not the worst either, but we've backed ourselves into an untenable situation. We didn't see any artifact hate from our opponent, so and we showed them Young Pyromancer. So I think where you want to be after that situation is back in on the Madcap Experiment plan. I I think I do not. I leave in the Young Pyromancers, which I still don't hate, because getting down early aggression is very good against them. But I do think I probably wanted to bring back in the Madcaps. Blood Moon does do work against them because they don't have fetches, which I didn't think about at the time. It didn't seem like they have fetches anyways. Maybe did they fetch? I don't remember. It's the fourth time I've seen this game, and I still don't remember all of it. But yeah, we bring back in the Cryptic Command because that was just a punt to bring it out. I think Madcap was where we are. The fact we did also see Spell Pierce, so Spell Pierce makes Madcap a bit harder to resolve. So yeah, I don't hate staying on the Young Pyromancer plan. Sure, Electrolyze lines up very well with it, but you know, Electrolyze is going to cycle anyways during that turn. And the upside of having a Young Pyromancer down early and they don't have Electrolyze is game winning. So there are reasons to have it. I think I'm good either way. Maybe if I did it again, I'd bring back in the combo. This hand's great. We have a Disdainful Stroke, a Remand, and an Augur, and also an Abrade, in case things go sideways or they have a weird sideboard switch up like ours. I wonder if they do have Young Pyromancers. Probably do. So here we're fine just passing. We would like to find a Young Pyromancer or something to do on their turn, but otherwise we're going to tap out for Riverwise Augur just to try to get stuff out of their hand, so that our Disdainful Stroke and Remand can interact with their potential Metallurgic Summonings. That is our game plan as is, and we get lucky, so we get to hold a fetch to get rid of, to unbrainstorm lock us if this resolves. They mana leak it, which, you know, obviously you want your 4-mana brainstorm to resolve, but if opponent's spending a mana leak there, we're pretty happy with that. They spent it on something that is an enabler and a good card for sure, but they did not. They won't have that mana leak to protect their combo. So that makes me happy. That's a good trade. We bottom this. We already have 4 or 5 lands. But we get another land. We're just looking for more interaction and threats at this point. Of note, they have a Lighthouse down, and they're going to loot their way towards victory, essentially. Each activation of Lighthouse in these mirror matches adds noticeable win percentages, I would say. So we're under the gun from this Lighthouse. I played this land out not for any other reason other than if we draw Keranos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nah, we still can't protect it. So if we draw land Keranos, we can protect it. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can protect our combo if we draw it next turn. Oh, we don't have it. A P and Kier and our Jace. It's just we could have held it, but there was not too much value in holding it. We see they have Anger of the Gods, so if this were to go to a mythical game 4, we would definitely be sideboarding out our Young Pyromancers. So opponent has, this is I believe the 3rd Lighthouse. So we're, in terms of card quality, they're kicking our ass right now. So they Metallurgic Summonings into us, which is great because at most they can have is a Spell Pierce or a Dispel. They have a Dispel, and we get to do every Blue Mage's Dream to remand your own spell and then recast it. So that feels great. We get to fizzle their Dispel, draw a card, and then counter their Metallurgic Summonings. So that was great. And then what do we do on top of it all? We draw Keranos with that remand. Like, that sequence could not have gone any better. That's so good. That's so good. Oh my god. So then we jam Keranos on an empty board. There's no better feeling. Keranos now negates their Lighthouse advantage. Keranos, I think, will, as the game goes longer, Keranos definitely beats us out in terms of not only card quality, but card advantage. We're going to opt here, just looking for a threat or a way to end the game or interaction. We do not draw. We draw Remand, which is decent enough. Remand's great at making the game go long, especially in this situation, even when it is a long game already. They have to resolve a 5-drop to win, and Remand's great against big things. It's also great against flashback spells. That's one of my guilty pleasures. It's not even necessarily guilty. Remanding a flashback spell. Oh, if you've never done that, I highly recommend it. Such value. So we splash in Snapcaster, targeting Bolt to get the beat train going. This represents, 3 damage here, 2 damage next turn, and then that Keranos starts adding up. Fortunately for our opponent, unfortunately for us, they have a Spell Pierce. And an Electrolyze, so we don't even get to get our beats down. Unfortunate. But thankfully for us, Keranos keeps on giving us goodies, and it gives us perhaps its best goodie, Riverwise Augur. Augur is so good with Keranos because you can stack your top 2 cards to be hits, and when your opponent's at 8, that's pretty awesome. So, up note here, how I wanted to stack things was to stack Remand first and then have a Braid, because then I could have an Opt if I need to cast a Braid, and otherwise I have a Remand, and we only have 3 mana, so we can't do both. I stacked them in reverse on accident, but the best way to stack them here is a Remand then a Braid. And not so you want to click a Remand first and then a Braid, because that's how Scry and Brainstorm works on Magic Online. Is the first one you click is the first one you put back. If you're scrying too, let's say. So they draw Summonings. We get to Remand it. Pretty great for us. Of course, if they have a spell here, they get us. But it also makes it so they can't cast Temporal Trespass here, which is good for us. Very good for us. Actively great for us. So we know this Remand is going to end up dealing 3 damage thanks to Keranos. So if we can survive until our next untap and this card gets in, we're going to win the game. Assuming Keranos stays on the field. So we're feeling pretty good. We don't want to cast either Opt or Remand unless it's absolutely necessary, because we know a Braid's on top and we'll win the game. So this Ravings we let resolve. The only card that beats us here is Trespass. And even Trespass doesn't hurt too much because it's not an instant win. And opponent, with the random discard from Desperate Ravings, they discard Temporal Trespass, the one card that could really, really, really help them. So the Random God giveth and the Random God taketh away here for opponent. And all the while, Keranos just keeps giving for us. Opponent needs to do something here because they are DED, and then they don't. So we win! I thought this game was great. And it's also the game that I really... it's the reason I kept trying so hard to upload these videos, not only because I said that I would. I thought this was cool. I thought they had a cool list, and I thought it was well worth showing it off and looking at it. It might be a list I try to refine in the future. This Metallurgic Summonings list. I think it's pretty neat. This is a nice little combo, and it is pretty budget. So look out for that if you're trying to play Blue, Red, and Modern. It's hard. It's hard to win, but it does something powerful. And I think that's the key to a good budget deck, is that if it does its thing, is it a powerful thing? And this is definitely powerful. And sure, its best matchup is probably my exact matchup, my exact list, like a blue-red control list, without hard removal and relying on counter spells and even soft counter spells to win the game. It does make it so that, resolving the Metallurgic Summonings is hard, but once it's resolved, as you can see, they tend to be able to win the game pretty much in a flurry. So, yep, that is hopefully the end of this video. Let's find a picture of the deck list. This one is... Oh, okay, this is good. Yeah, so we can talk about it for a second. I think we probably, after playing all of these matches and after just watching them 5 times in a row... 4 times? 5 times? I've lost track. I think we probably just want 2 Augurs and 1 Cryptic Command. See Beyond is really good in this deck, and I would continue to play it. As you can see, we only have one Serum Visions. I did have two, so I cut one for a Sea Beyond, and I was pretty happy with that. Sea Beyond impressed me every time we played it. Even when it wasn't shuffling back Emperions, it's a neat little card. It's also good. It shuffles your deck. Well, it does shuffle your deck, but it also draws the top two cards. So it isn't that great with Riverwise Augur, but like, you know, a man can dream. Another card that's been impressing me consistently has been Abrade. I think I probably want access to at least one more between main or side. I think I'm fine with 4 Madcaps. I think game 1 you just want to maximize your outs to them. And Keranos is continually impressed me in this list. Keranos is typically a sideboard card for these blue-red decks, but I think it goes pretty well with this Madcap list. I tend to play it a lot in Twinless Exarch and Madcap Moon main deck, just because I'd like it as another way to close the game. It's more of a comfort thing than anything. As you'll see with a lot of my decks, is I tend to have one card that I can draw to in bad situations potentially that will help me win. And Keranos just synergizes very well with this Blue Moon. And I really liked Riverwise Augur and Keranos. In fact, it might be that I end up making a Blue Moon deck just solely based off of Keranos, having no combo. Or, you know, I think I like it in Twinless Exarch as well. But I think the utility here is potentially getting rid of Emperions, which is awesome. And I think Augur is a neat little card. I do think 3 is probably too much. Probably just want 2. I think you want 3 Cryptic Commands in this list for sure. And that's about it. We might increase. Having the pressure from clicks is pretty awesome too. So I could see adding another click or a Nimble Obstructionist or something along those lines. Just a utility 3-mana flash creature. It does a lot of work. Because even when a lot of times when we even get to play an Emperion, it doesn't necessarily win the game against everyone. So the deck has to deal damage to the opponent a lot of the times, and that's why I kind of like Augur as just another creature and threat. Like, yeah, it's just a 2/2, but it is a 2/2, and it needs to be dealt with or respected, because chipping in for 2 means something in this list. Like Snapcaster Beats means something, Augur means something, Click Beats means something, Keranos Flips means something. Like, it's all working together. We're all trying hard to win the game here. It's a team effort. But yeah. Also, yeah, obviously I would have no Ceremonious Rejection, 3 Dispels, and 2. I am a pretty big fan. I think you do want the Disdainful Strokes over the Flash Freeze. But I did kind of talk myself into those Flash Freezes with the Abzan and those blue-green lists going out there. So yeah, I mean, your results may vary. I think the sideboard is pretty good. But we could change things around. We could add another PN Kieran. There's always stuff to improve, but I'm pretty happy with this list right now. And if you're feeling like madcapping people, I think outside of the slight changes that I recommended, I think this list is good to go for whatever fun time you want to have with it. Anyways, I really sincerely hope this recording works. I literally cannot record this match yet another time. I can't do it. I'm gonna go insane. Sorry that this has taken so long. The plus side of it is it has helped me dive into my mic settings and my software and stuff, and I've become more familiar with it. And I think I've got the problem from the original recording down, the popping and the distortion. I think I've solved that for now. We'll see. These things are finicky. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to end up being a positive that I had to record this a lot, because it's helped me get back into the habit of constant recording. And that's where I want to be going forward, as I want to get back to my schedule. I do want to start streaming still. We had that one stream. It was a whole lot of fun. And I guess I'm just curious. I'm still kind of trying to figure out the perfect time slot for me. I think that 10 to 5 East Coast time or West Coast time So like the 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. slot is kind of crowded with established streamers, and I don't know if I want to start going up against them right out the bat, or if I want to try to take a slot that's maybe a little bit more open, less contested. But I think at least for it's something I want to get right, because I think streaming is going to end up being a pretty big important thing for tier fun in general. And I really love talking to you guys live. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, regardless of, we are going to get a stream schedule down. We are going to stream this week. At minimum, there'll be one on Friday at 10, just like last time. And I'll plug that for each video that I release this week as well. There might be a few test streams later at night here and there going forward, just trying to iron out some things. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you just thank you guys for sticking around without the quite as frequent content as it has been these past couple of weeks. I think we've ironed it all out. We're ready to rumble. We're ready to attack. It's Rivals of Ixalan season. I feel like I'm getting so far behind not playing all these sweet cards. Direfleet Daredevil. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's exciting, and it is coming. So yep. Preview for the next couple of stuff we've been doing. I saw a pretty spicy Rug Delver list with Tarmogoyfs for Modern on Channel Fireball. I might wind up playing that. That looked a lot of fun. Maybe I'll stream that. Maybe that'll be my stream deck list, and I'll try to play something new for the next recording. But anyways, we'll have another recording tomorrow. Thank you guys. And tomorrow being Wednesday, it's not quite Wednesday where I'm living yet. So 99% of you guys will be watching this on a Wednesday, or whenever you do watch it. But yep. This is the end of me rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all my subs and all the people who aren't subs and everyone who's just having a good time. Thank you so much. This has been great. This has been a really fun experience for me. I've really enjoyed making these videos, and I'm just happy that you guys have liked it too. It's mind-blowing every day I think about it, and kind of stressful a little bit, because I don't want to disappoint you guys now that I have a small following. So it's stuff that won't seem as daunting in time. But as of right now, having 330 people is crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching, enjoying, and liking, commenting, and subscribing, and all that jazz. It means the world. Anyways, yep. Ramble session over. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys are having a lovely evening or morning or wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth, and I will see you around. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.